after the last speech, do not go home and go straight to your cars. Instead, go to the UC Center to do the last ceremony. They have a couple of people as well. That's around 4:55. And then quick introduction that we're going to do here. Again, we've been here all day. So, of course, welcome to BSides San Antonio. Before we begin, I want to give a quick shout out to our diamond sponsors, USAA and St. Mary's. And then also, we are also grateful for the support of Island as well. And we are going to be turning over the mic to Dwayne Mcdaniel, and he will be discussing, he's on the same level, what I learned, building security tabletop exercises. All right, everyone give a round of applause to Dwayne.
Thank you. I don't know what's going on in my intro music, so we're just going to skip it. For those of you who have paper copies of the schedule, you'll realize that this is not the talk that is in the paper copy of the schedule. That's because they couldn't make it, and I was asked to step in last minute, fill in with the talk, one of the other talks I submitted for this conference, and that's what this is. So if you're like, no, I don't want to hear this, not your chance, and I won't take any offense. If everybody walks out, I have no problem, literally, no problem. This was like springing on you. But if you came in here because you saw the schedule got switched online, thank you. It means something to me. Did anybody see me speak earlier today? Yes. All right. Yeah. Okay. This is what security looks like to me. This is what good security looks like to me. This is a family playing Monopoly. Now, I love Monopoly a lot, and this is an impossible game. Like, no kid that age has that many hotels. It doesn't happen. Like, unless the dad's dominating this game, and never is too happy for them to like be that. So, but I love games because they give you a practical way to experience things. This is why kids learn through play. This is why people make games. We can have we can do conflict resolution. We can have complex conversations. Like Cellulosic Fan teaches resource management in a way that very few other games or anything can, aside economic theory. But when we think of things we do in computer science, things we think we do in security, typically we think of screens. We think of being behind a keyboard. The way you use your machine is not the same way everyone else uses their machines. If you don't believe me, let someone else use your laptop and then cringe that they don't know how to use it. Literally, or touch someone else's machine and watch them their same reaction. Like the fact that no one knows all the hotkeys for Kdenlive bothers me. It's an editing software. But every time I've ever seen anyone else do anything, they go through the menus like, how are you that slow? Because the way they use their machines is not the way you use your machines. Their machine might look like this. This is not your machine. Why is that important? Because we make a lot of assumptions that people in our world that we're securing are on our level with at least some base concepts, at least some ideas out there. And they're really not. Even people in this room are on a bunch of different levels. And that's awesome, because that means we're on the same journey together. Stairs are different levels. There's nothing wrong with being 3 stairs up in front of somebody or 3 stairs down from someone else if you're all going to the same place. No, you just got there in a time-based thing. Like we live in time space. That means here and when are the same thing. Like conceptually. I'm Dwayne. Obviously I think about this stuff too much. I live in Chicago. I came down here for this. Very, very proud to be here. First time in San Antonio. Saw the Alamo yesterday. Saw some punk rock last night. You have a really cool city here. Be proud of that. I host the Security Repo podcast. Check it out. I ain't got a lot of time. I got 20 minutes to get through about 60 slides, so we're just going to go. My company, Get Guardian, they'll come up later. We put out this report every year, State of Secret, or Voice Practitioner. We're working on the next iteration of this right now. It'll come out sometime in August, I think. Don't hold me to that. So this is the one from last year. We asked over 1,000 IT professionals, hey, a bunch of questions, and 27% of people that wrote back said, we're relying on manual code reviews to get over this problem of hard-coded credentials. And I took that personally. I said, look, there's got to be a better way to do that. And we were getting ready to go to AppSec Village at RSA when the 2024 report came out. And AppSec Village, if you don't know, who's ever been to DEF CON? should all go to DEF CON. If you come to DEF CON this year, come to AppSec Village. I'm one of the organizers. Full disclosure, I love that place. But back then I wasn't. This is before I got involved and did that. Actually, this is the first year I got to help like volunteer organize. But I built a game called Spot Secrets, finding secrets through your environments by GitGuardian. That's the thing. You can actually go look at the rule set for this at the labs there. But this is what it looked like. It was a card-based game. We sat around a table. I got people to run through it as fast as possible. You can see I use that same stat on my explainer board. And it looks like this. We have 4 stacks of things, commit samples, log files, samples, Slack message samples, and Jira commit samples, because those are all places that secrets commonly show up. And I asked people like, all right, do you think there is a secret on this? A secret being something that grants access to another system. This one's easy. Yes, it says access right there. That is a real key. There are so many forms of secrets that it's really hard. So the way the game worked is if there was a secret, it had an S on it in invisible ink, UV light. And if it had a V, that means it was valid. I brought a copy of this to San Antonio, and it's in my hotel room, so I apologize. I didn't realize I left it at home until literally they tapped me on the shoulder to say, hey, can you do this talk? Sorry about that. If anybody wants a version of this, let me know. I will get it for you. Very quick, my game, my exercise wouldn't exist without these. Backdoors and Breaches, they have it over there. They've been doing demos all day. If you don't have a copy of Backdoors and Breaches, do not leave this event without one. If you've never heard of Cornucopia, it's because it's one of the 300,000 things that OWASP does, and it got buried along the way, but it's a paper-based skills game they built. Really good to learn. You can order it from the website. It's on the OWASP project. Look it up, OWASP Cornucopia. And the wrong secrets, that's where all my code samples came from. It's an OWASP project on how to not do security correctly. It's a goat. It's literally, this is how you don't do it. You want to test your tools against a really insecure thing. This is bug-free at least. But if you don't count, then bug. Anyway, 162 people gave us email addresses. More than that came through when I talked to them. But what did I learn? Oh, the biggest thing, there's no one path in security. Holy crap. DEF CON brings everybody to the table. Literally everybody. Doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what you smell like, especially not what you smell like. You can come to AppSec Village. You've been to DEF CON. If you've never been to DEF CON, there's a 3-2-1 rule. You have to sleep at least 3 hours a night, and you need to eat at least twice a day and shower at least once. And this is 110-degree desert weather. But if you want it, if you want to go down the path of security, you can get on the road wherever you're at, and all roads lead to security eventually. You can be a lead hacker doing this for 20 years. You can be a mid-career blue teamer who's only ever kept databases safe. Thank you for your service. You can be entry level, thinking, all right, I want to learn how about all of this, and I'm just excited to be here. You're all welcome at DEF CON. You're all welcome at AppSec Village. And I talked to the whole gamut. Turns out in security, we don't even speak the same language all the time. We all use our own phrases. I just went to Identiverse this year, the IAM conference, and like talked to people that write the protocols for like OpenID Connect and like are on the boards for things like Whimsy and Spice and new things coming out of the IETF and a bunch of other standards bodies. Pixie is something you should all, never mind, but no time to get into all the craziness. But they all use their own shorthand and jargon, and the IAMs people do not talk like red teamers, and red teamers do not talk like mid-year or mid-career like application architects that specialize in security systems. They should. We meet in the middle, and we do have a common vocabulary somewhat in security, but when you step back and realize that we are security and we have this problem of communication, it kind of makes sense that security is seen as an over there, an us versus them problem by pretty much everyone else in the world. Because our view of the world is keep it safe. Their world is get it done fast. And that shows up nowhere more than development. I'm an OWASP member. I love OWASP. I will promote OWASP until, I don't know, like something goes horribly wrong in my life. Or their world, I don't know. The whole world of OWASP worldview exists around the application itself. Like, why do you have a network? To run an application. Why do you have machinery? To run an application. Why do you have users? Because you have an application. Application center of the world. And I know I make a lot of assumptions when I'm talking about red teamers, when I go through pen testing classes, when I'm studying like the IAM world. I make a lot of assumptions like, you know what I know. And people are like, no, I don't. But I think we naturally do. It's the bias of, I had to learn this, everyone else naturally had to know this too, because everybody else knows a little more than I do, don't they? Maybe not. That's why I like Venn diagrams so much. We know what we know, they know what they know. And our roads overcross sometimes, but I'm not gonna ask anyone to maintain or tell me the rules of accounting and like how you can qualify to be a CPA in this country. I don't expect anyone in the room to know that. If you do, that's cool. I just don't expect you to know that. But when people assume like we need to put multi-factor authentication on your device, we assume they understand what that is and why. We gotta start making assumptions. So the three big things that I walked away with after asking people a bunch of questions, me and my team sat down afterward and said, hey, what did we ask? What did we learn? And I wrote a whole blog post about this. DEFCON 32 is the blog. And it goes into all of that. But it really is three things. People had just this profound confusion that I honestly took me by surprise. At least a couple of these did. But I lumped in these buckets. I work in the world of secret security, so I just assumed everybody knew what I knew. Nope. I've been doing environment variables as the way to do production since 2013. And turns out the rest of the world didn't catch that memo. I don't know why, I didn't know how, but we just kind of didn't. Gets confusing, and I'll explain why. And developer workflows are really hard. All right, secret security. How do I tell something is a secret? Well, sometimes it just says secret equals. But this is how you can tell. Contextually, it's used in such a manner to grant access to another system. That's kind of it. Now, how do you define contextually give access? Well, there's a lot of ways to validate that. A secret can take the form of a long-lived credential. If you saw my talk earlier today, I went into great detail about all of this stuff. The one thing I want you to remember about secrets, though, don't ever see them in plain text. If you see a secret in plain text, something has gone wrong somewhere. Tell security, like, hey, security, I found a plain text credential. And they will be like, cool, we got to fix that. Let's open a ticket. Unfortunately, this problem is getting worse, not better. And I wish my company would go out of business. And I mean this because we focus on this problem as the core of what we look at in the world, our worldview. So every year we put out a report, State of Secret Sprawl report. And we do this by looking at every commit that hits GitHub public. You can too, it's api.github.com/events. It's the feed. You can go out and just ingest the whole thing. We look for commits and we look for is public. So something becomes public that was private and say, hey, this has got a secret. If it does, we email the committer right then and there, say, this is where you did this in public, please don't do this. And then we take a fingerprint of that secret. It's a hash that it only goes one way. And then we can match that with future hatches. And we do that for business stuff, not to get into what we sell. But we put out this report every year, State of Secret Sprawl. And last year, drum roll, I don't have enough time to play a game about this today. That's how many secrets we found on GitHub just added in the year 2024. That's not cumulative. That's just added from the beginning of 2024 to the end of 2024. 4.61% of all repos that were touched last year. It's 25% increase over the previous year. 15% of all authors. You might be like, well, why did you only send 1.9 million messages? We've been blacklisted for, I should say, disallowed listed and banned on by certain people. It's like, oh, well, we don't trust your data. It's like, you signed a public commit that has an API key in it. Stop blocking us. Also, a lot of people signed their email or signed their commits with bad emails. If you're in the room and you do that, please stop. There are people that really, really, really want to tell you you put the world in danger, and we can't if it bounces. So please don't. That horrifying 70%. So we've been doing this for years, and back in 2022, we found a lot of secrets, and we validated the ones we can validate. Can we do a non-intrusive call to the system and say, does this actually work? So we took a sampling of 11,000 of the ones that we found valid in 2022 and said, are these still valid? After we sent this email, after this much time, surely they've rotated them. In January of this year, It was 70%, still worked, still had valid. Yeah, rotation's hard. So please adopt continual secret scanning. I have a favorite on this list. I don't really care which one you use personally. I know this is being recorded. Maybe it's not, I don't care. I have a favorite, but if you use nothing right now, you're doing it wrong. If you're using grep, you're gonna run into a world of self-maintaining problems. Open source is noisy. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that's a good thing. Depends on what your needs are. That's it, secret security. We can have a whole discussion about that after this. I'm happy to go out to drinks if anybody wants to buy me a drink, talk about any of this stuff. So Git, the most common question I got, which shocked me to my core, is what is commit? I have worked for 2 companies in my career that have Git in the title. Git Kraken, which makes desktop Git tool, desktop Git GUI, Git integration for Jira, and GitLens, the most popular VS Code plugin of all time. I've taught well over 1,000 people Git in my lifetime, like in classes and workshops. So this like baffled me. I was like, do security people just not understand Git? And then I remembered, oh yeah, Git's one of the hardest things to learn, isn't it? Because it's the concept of intergalactic time travel or interdimensional time travel to store documents. It's weird. It's a really weird concept. Nothing else in the world works like this. And developers who have to use it day in and day out, nobody ever comes to you as a developer and says, you have to learn Git today. What they do is, we need you to make a PR by X date. In fact, no, they don't even say that. They say, do project by date, or AI will take your job. Don't believe me? Go talk to Microsoft, who's laying off people. Go talk to Amazon, who's laying people off. Like, it's developers right now are getting eaten alive because we got to move faster. We got to move faster, and I got to move faster. At no point is anyone in that conversation saying, oh, by the way, learn first principles on these base technologies so we can be fundamentally safer as a community. Everybody comes to Git their own way. It's one of the weirdest things we ever learned. Like, everybody learns JavaScript pretty much the same way. Everybody learns PHP pretty much the same way. Everybody learns how to do Drupal development. That's a wall, but you learn it the same way. You power through it. You learn open source tools the same general way. Git, because it's so weird, nobody sits down and reads. Who here even knows there's a Git book? Yeah, it's awesome. It's free. You can just go to git-scm and read the book. It's a little dated at this point. They haven't updated in a while, but you know what? The core concepts are never going to change. Most people know 8 commands, maybe 8. Add, commit, push, rebase, which scares everybody, clone, a few others, cherry pick. I hope you know cherry pick. That's a really useful one. And then there's the people that use GUIs, and I got nothing against GUIs, but they don't teach anything. It's just automagical. I'm gonna go real quick through this part because I promised I would go real quick through this part to make this a 25-minute talk. Here's how Git works. Git just takes a snapshot at a moment in time of the file system. It takes a timestamp, makes a list of exactly what happened, and compresses down the actual files themselves into things called blobs. So when you do a Git add, it takes the things that have been modified in your working directory, your present working directory, that Git is watching, that Git's aware of. So that's when you do a Git init, that's you're saying, hey, watch this in every subdirectory under me. If you change something, it says, all right, I'm gonna make a binary log object out of that thing you just modified, which it collapses down using, zlib, collapses it down into a really, really, really small compression. And then it throws that into a file called the index, which is a text file that contains binary files. And then you say git add, and it turns that into a binary file that's ready to commit. And then you write on the outside of that envelope what you want to have on the outside of that envelope, your commit message, and say git commit, and now that is a permanent record in a chain. If you're like, that kind of sounds like blockchain. Yeah, this is where blockchain came from. This is cited in the Bitcoin, Bitcoin original paper. This is, Satoshi took this and said, we can make money with this. Linus said that we could build Linux with this. If you don't know, Git turned 20 this year, April 7th. It was Linus' first email that said, here's the scripts I use to manage patches for Linux. I don't think it's ever going to become a full source control management system. 3 months later, they rename it Git. Those patches are still commit 0. Why is this important to community security? Well, once it's in the commit history, it's there forever, unless you surgically remove it. And if you're working completely independently by yourself, that's easy. It's just rewrite your history. You can rewrite anything in history of Git. It's just lists. It's just list files and timestamps and compressions. That's all it is. But you can jump between those compressions like at the line level. It's crazy. But once it's in there forever. If it's a shared repo, good luck. If you've ever pushed it anywhere, there is a cache of it, I guarantee you. I just explained earlier how we read every commit that hits the public GitHub. Have you ever heard of store now, decrypt later? You heard of this? This is what quantum computing is waiting on. Yeah.
I was going to say, isn't it just like bad actors pretty much just storing as much information as possible?
Yeah.
Here's coming out like cloud settings or something like that.
Yes, that is the short, good explanation of it. Bad actors, there are nation states doing this, and I don't want to call a nation state a bad actor publicly, just in case the drones are listening. Anyway, if anybody wants to go further and so why is this important? If you put a secret in a Git repo by accident and you push it out there, you have to consider that secret is gone. You just need to rotate it right now. Even if you cover it up with the next commit, that last commit's still there. If you did an RM on your machine and you fixed your branch and you tried to force that up to the server, guess what? There's a shadow cache on GitHub that you can just go reach. All of those orphan commits, where do they go? Oh, they just hang out. There is a huge never turns off cache on GitHub. You can hit for like 90 days after a push and just get anything back. If you ever push it publicly, you need to get rid of it. I had so many people say, well, can't I just overwrite that commit? I had so many people, like in security, ask me these questions. So if anybody here needs to help learn Git, I love teaching people Git. Last one. Do people really do manual code reviews to find this stuff? Yeah, 27%. Who here has ever, and this is going to sound accusatory, and I'm sorry, I was really angry when I originally wrote this, and I've backed off a lot from some of the positions, crazy stuff I said. Apologies if you saw this talk at Wild West Hacking Fest. Who here has ever deployed anything to production? Who here has ever written code, pushed it through a pipeline that went into a public internet-facing application that users you'll never meet, that way outnumber their Dunbar number, will touch and manipulate that system? That's what developers do, day in and day out. That's their job. They make dev happen through the DevOps cycle. DevOps people build the infrastructure to make that happen. And I'm not saying that to accuse you of anything. That's what developers are under the gun for. When you say, why didn't you do this a secure way? It's like, because I got told I was going to get fired if this didn't hit production by Friday. That's the world they're living in. I'm a developer advocate. I'm going to advocate for the developer until I don't have this job at all. I'm going to have this job until I don't work. Any day now, lottery. But this is the world they're living in. Where's security fit in that? That's Ansible, sir. But yeah, but that's the point. That's why DevSecOps became a thing where we'll put security around everything. Oh, but wow, this is the actual world of production life. So when I say they don't know what we know and we don't know what they know, it's like, can you explain the entire tool chain that your developer uses to get to production right now? If the answer is no, that's not your job to know. The more you know that, the more you can say, how do we secure this piece? Hey, did you realize there's a really, really, really easy alternative to what you're doing that makes your life better, and my life better, and everybody's life better, and you're more secure? I can't tell you what those things are right now. I have no idea what your developer's doing. But if you're like, I don't know what my developer's doing either, you know who you could ask? Your developers. You know what developers love? Food. I know this because all humans love food. If you get them food, throw them a security party. Throw them like, hey, let's help you out with your scripts party. And buy them a pizza, buy them jelly beans, buy them some food. But don't just stop at developers. This is everybody in your company. We're in a world now where shadow IT and vibe coding, when I wrote this, vibe coding wasn't a concept. But vibe coding is real, and that stuff's getting in production because I'm watching it in real time, and it's nuts. But the shadow IT problem is never going away either. Hey, it was too hard to do through proper channels, so I got out a credit card. Now there's a server under my desk. I use ChatGPT that I pay for myself with company, not data, because I work technically for marketing, so my blogs go through it, but they're going to go public anyway. What we need to do, and this is, I know I'm over time, but this is the end. We got to get everybody on the same team and realize that we have more in common together. If we work together as a team, we come together and stop seeing security over here, you over there. The only way we can do this is getting on the same level with them. And how we do that is we embed ourselves with them and don't expect them to come to us. This is the inverse of the model that has been more prevalent. Hey, we sit here and we look for anomalies and we go punish people that do anomalies. Humans are humans, we're gonna screw up. That's humans, especially under pressure. What if you could get in the room when the whiteboard's out? What if you get in the room when they're like, hey, we're gonna plan this scrum for the week? What if you could get in the room and they trusted you? I'm not saying that's gonna be easy. I am not saying that might even be possible where you're at in your life. I'm saying this is how we get from fighting all the time and people don't like us and don't trust us in security to, oh, wow, you make my life better. I have a problem. Hey, we're going to have a meeting to plan this out. Who on your team can come over and have this conversation with us to make sure that 3 months from now, everybody's happy and have them seek you out? That's the goal with that. So here's your call to action. Go ask team members outside of security about their preferred coding, DevOps, or business automation workflows. Anybody that you're in charge of securing, anybody that you might be able to write an email to and said you did it wrong, set time with them, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, to be like, hey, I'm just trying to understand your workflow. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm literally just there. And then just be a human with them. At the end of the day, security is about humans. And humans do all this stuff, for now. I don't care about AI. Find out where the bottlenecks are. Figure out how to help them with that. If you can make their job easier and make the easy path the safe path, they're going to use it. Developers are inherently lazy, and that's a virtue. They will automate their way out of any problem if they can. And if you can say, here's the safest way to do that and the easiest, they're going to take it every time. Who here knows how to write a bash script? I dream of a day when I'm on a BSides and every hand goes up. It doesn't have to be bash. You can use PowerShell. For those of you who didn't raise your hand, do you know PowerShell? Everybody should know PowerShell a little bit. I hate it, but we should all learn it. GitHub Actions is just Git, and Git hooks are just scripts. Use bash. It's universal. It's on most machines you'll ever touch. Come to DEF CON next year. DEF CON last year was a blast. I learned a lot. Teach people this silly game. If you want a copy of this, literally hit me up, and I will mail one to you. I literally just forgot them because we're all on the same journey together. Not just the people in this room, not just people in security. We're all just trying to get through the end of the day because I just want to go and play board games with people that I love. I want to make sure that it's not 3 a.m. and I have to get out of bed and leave the house for a week because, wow, we had an incident. I want to protect these people. I want everybody on my team to have this experience. Let's get on the same level. Oh yeah, don't make people read 100 cards if you build a card game. That was too many. I put it down to 20. That's the last point. I'm Dwayne. I live in Chicago. I came down here to do this, and we are way over time. But I work for this company. Don't you worry about the QR code. That just goes to our blog. I don't really care about the stats on it. But we help people with NHI governance, secret security stuff, and honey tokens and some other fun stuff. And if you want these slides that we saw today, it's up there. tinyurl.com/BSides. You can read it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne.
We got 5 minutes before they're going to do closing ceremony, so talk to me on the walk over.
Yeah, walk.